How to get out of a fishing slump. Hey, everybody, Joe Simons, like diamonds,
Hey, Luke Simonds.
like diamonds. There have been a lot of people out there that don't fish as much in the first quarter of the year. Whatever, business is busy, cold out, windy, whatever. And then summertime hits, right? It's kind of like that Memorial to Labor Day weekend is kind of like that is the hot time for fishing in general. It's the hot time for boat sales, for kayak sales, for tackle sales. Basically, Memorial Day, it's like a light switch goes off or on, I guess, and off, and everything just gets busy. And so, all that being said, if you hadn't fished in maybe a quarter or maybe it's been 6 months, it can be tough sometimes. And we're seeing a lot of people who are asking both through emails and some, community posts saying, hey man, I'm in a slump. I hadn't been on the water in a while. Last time I fished, I was, catching tons of redfish and trout and tarpon, snook, whatever it might be. And now it just seems tougher. And so we wanted to do this one because we've been there before. We feel your pain. And we're going to use a couple different analogies in life and basically in sports, right? And I'll start with one so you kind of get an idea where we're going. If you were a good basketball player, whatever, high school basketball player, college, collegiate, whatever, even pro, and all of a sudden you're just having trouble hitting the basket, like getting 2 points, 3 points, whatever it is. What would you do if you were in just a massive slump? I don't think you'd start slinging balls from half court, right? No, you'd start moving up. You might go to the free throw line and start shooting some easier buckets. You might go do layups if it's really just that tough. My point is, you don't go to like the hardest thing. You go to the easiest thing and you work on the foundation. When I played baseball in high school, I had this rut I got in for a curveball. I could not hit a curveball to save my life. I went through this massive rut and like it was in my head. All the pitchers knew it going against me. Like, man, this guy can't. He can cream a fastball, but a curveball, he's going to whiff on it every time. And guess what my coach did? He didn't get in the pitching machine and turn on curveball at 92 miles an hour and try to see if I could hit the hardest one possible. He's like, no, I'm going to slow this thing down. So slow it seems silly, but I want you to be able to see the seams on this ball and predict exactly what it's going to look like and where it's going to go. So once again, working on the foundation. And I did that over and over again until it just seemed easy. I was crushing it. And then he slowly started speeding it up to the point he could go at full tilt on a curveball. And I was crushing it because I was dialed in. I had my confidence back. I knew I could do it. And so to me, and Luke, I know you agree with this, the same applies with fishing. And there's different levels, obviously, just like if you're a pro basketball player, you might not have to go up and do little quick layups. So it's all going to depend on where you're at. But the lesson is go back to the basics, get the confidence back. Sometimes just as simple, like even on the bass fishing, I live on a lake, and if I haven't caught a bass in a while, instead of going out and trying to like catch a 10-pounder, I'll go back to bluegill and just catch them till I'm dead tired. And there's something about it. I don't know what it is, if it's just the confidence or just feeling the tight lines, where all of a sudden something just happens and then the next trip is epic again. Are you feeling me? Feeling the flow?
Yeah, so there's really two factors at play. One is that, right, to go back to the basics. And number two is to understand the fish biology. Summertime is the time when, even if you're not fishing a lot, summertime can be really tough, especially in the heat of the summer. And I'll even say, especially for a lot of libators. That was a mistake that we made as libators, where we were spending the early morning hours, the twilight, which is by far the best bite. We were spending that catching bait. And then we were duking it out at the tougher time, which is in the middle of the day when the fishes aren't as aggressive. So we're going to talk about fish behavior as well as just simplifying it down to make sure that you never get skunked. That you literally can get to the point where you never get skunked as long as you plan ahead and as long as you keep it simple. Again, the biggest mistake a lot of people make is they have like 2 tackle boxes worth of stuff and you get confused. Keep it simple, and we'll reference our fishing school. And simplicity is really the core theme there. It's all about having the core essentials and only that, no fluff as far as equipment, and then get really good at knowing where the feeding fish are most likely going to be. Because if you can do that properly, you do not need 3 tackle boxes full of stuff. You just need like 1 tackle tray, and that should keep you covered for really most of the season, for that matter.
That's it.
So, where do you want to start first?
It's the foundational pieces. I mean, you hear some of the best coaches of all time, professional, coaches, and what did they do? They started with the basics. Who was it, Lombardi, whatever, that started off having the guys tie their shoes perfectly, and they're like, "Why are we doing this, coach?" He's like, if your shoes aren't perfect, you ain't gonna play the best. Like, we're starting with the foundational basics, understanding the fish biology, keeping it simple. I think that's one of the better lessons learned, because what you and I did, and I think what most people do when they get in that slump, they do the opposite of keeping it simple. They start buying more stuff, and then they take out the entire kitchen cabinet with them, and they're trying to throw everything possible to get that bite, right?
Yeah. And again, the fishing school too. I'll pull it up in a second. It is just laser focused on number one, finding the fish. Talks about positioning to make sure that you don't spook the fish before you can get a bait or lure to them, and then just the bare bones essentials. What you need to have to get these fish to eat. So where should we start? At the very basics. Just never get skunked
Yeah,
again.
let's do it. Yeah,
All
let's
right.
start with the basics,
All
the
right, so never get
foundation.
skunked again. It's really about, and this is the one where you just keep it super simple, and literally the equipment you need. Best of all, it is the cheapest equipment possible. You just need some basic hooks, and we go through these in the fishing school. Obviously, the size depends on the shrimp. So basically, hooks, weights, and live shrimp. If you don't have live shrimp, frozen shrimp's cool. Or you can go to the grocery store and get the peel and eat shrimp. Whatever you don't use, you can be eating while you're on the water. It works good for fishing. But the key thing though is to find some deep structure with some current flow. If you have deep structure and current flow, ideally multiple forms of structure. But if you have those two things together, especially if you're close to the big water, whether you're close to the Atlantic or close to the Gulf, there's going to be a lot of fish down there. It is shocking how many fish are in. Let me go show you this course, and
And
that's underwater
usually,
footage to share with you. It is mind blowing how many fish are down there.
in one type of structure that has that in most places, regardless if you're in the Carolinas or in Georgia or Texas or Florida, are bridges or massive, piers with dock pilings. You're gonna, in deeper areas, you're gonna have some sort of post or pillar or something with some sort of structure, and you're gonna have current flow.
Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah, so we're going to go. This is broken up to beginner, intermediate, and advanced. The beginner is really just to never get skunked again, right? With bare bones essentials. And this really just talks about going through and fishing bridges. And here is a video where we actually go and do it. But right here is some underwater footage that shows the actual. Let me turn the audio. Let's see. Yeah. So here's some footage that you might be able to hopefully can see, but this is just a random bridge, nothing special, and the amount of fish down there it's incredible. There's a lot of sheep's head for those who are listening. There's sheep's head, there's grunt, there's mangrove snapper, there's grouper, there's little spot tails, and also it's not captured here, but I've caught a lot of big redfish. Cobia go in and out of here, tarpon. When you fish a bridge, there is really an endless amount of fish you can catch. And the cool thing about shrimp is everything eats it. So drop shrimp in spots like this, you're going to be catching some tasty sheep's head you can bring home for dinner, mangrove snapper, grunts. Oh, there goes a little grouper. Grunts. Yeah, here's actually I had the prawn lure. You can see this grouper actually hits my prawn here in a second. But yeah, you can catch an absolute ton of different species, and both big and small. And most importantly, it is next to impossible to not get or to get skunked when you're fishing this type of situation.
Yep, I love it. Back to the basics. So step one, regardless of where you are and what type of fishing you're doing, assuming it's inshore saltwater fishing, if you're listening to this, or even maybe if it's near shore or whatever, just go back to the basics. And it's so much fun, right? We've had days where we came back and we didn't do any what I would call like legit we typically do, like going and trying to like stalk redfish or big speckled trout or stuff. But we just caught so many fish, and I was like, man, that was great. We just got a ton of tight lines. You're excited. Your confidence is back. And there's something magical about it. It's tough to explain, just like it is explaining why a coach would have their players tie their shoelaces or just work on free throws or layups all day long. But there is something that happens. Even my daughter with water skiing, she took a little bit of break. And instead of like trying to do the super advanced twirls and stuff, she went back to the basics. All right, I'm going to go with 2 skis and just get the feeling and start feeling good and confident again and work my way back up. I think for whatever reason with fishing, just like we're stubborn, we don't have coaches out there and we don't ask for help. And we, because we all did this, we take way too long to really get it. Something about us, I don't know if we're just stubborn. We try to like do more advanced stuff and we should be going more basic and just trying to get a ton of tight lines.
Yeah, and here's the actual bridge. So this is the bridge that I was filming under, and as you can see, it's perfect situation, right? Gulf over here, closest bridge to the Gulf, and we zoom in, you can actually see it's actually a smart spot. But I was literally right down here, like just inside this box. That's one of our smart spots. And in case you're new to smart spots, this is a smart fishing spot system that we have. Is the best way to find the best areas is the 1 foot contour. So you can use the 1 foot contour layer within smart fishing spots, and where those lines are closest is where there's going to be some shelves, right? That's the change in depths, and that's almost always where most of the action is going to be. And it was literally right in here where I got that film. And again, I've caught countless fish in within this zone right here.
Cool. All right, so that's on the, we'll call it more the beginner side of things. If you're just struggling to catch your normal slam fish, go back to the basics. Luke, let's talk about maybe if you're a little bit more higher weekend warrior, even getting closer to just more of a consistent angler, but you're just in a slump. You haven't caught a nice redfish or snook in a while. Would you agree? Just like, hey, go find one of those flats where there's trout, right? If you've done enough fishing, you should have one of those. If not, we'll get on the map and show you one or two. But to me, like that's just so easy. You can even troll for it. We got a couple places like that in Tampa, in St. Pete, Boca Grande. I mean, basically all the places that we fish, you have one of those areas where, like, worst case, I know I can go there and catch a couple trout and at least just get the skunk off and get the confidence back.
Yeah, and the same thing. Yeah, so the for sea trout or for inshore, if you're going after redfish, sea trout, snook, flounder, the most aggressive in general, especially in the summer months, is sea trout. That you can really get them all day long. The best bite is almost always the early morning twilight. In general, if you can get out early, sometimes people just need to get out there earlier. Like this morning, I launched the boat before the sun came up. I got most of my action as the sun was coming up. And as soon as it was starting to get hot, the bite totally shut down, and that's relatively normal. Obviously, when the bite shuts down, you can just slow it down and get in the shade. But if you want to have like topwater action, some of the more aggressive fish, you really need to get that twilight window if you can. Early morning's best. The evening twilight is next best, and then the middle of the day, you can still catch a lot of fish, but you're gonna have to work a lot harder. The good news, as far as again keeping it simple and just getting the important thing about just getting action, getting strikes, is to be able to just train yourself to be able to tell the difference between the tap of pinfish, like the tap of pinfish and grunts, which is why that live shrimp is so good, because you're going to have a lot of grunts hitting it. As soon as it gets down, it's going to get demolished by fish. A lot of them are small, and if you set the hook on those small fish, you're going to just ruin. You're not going to catch anything. It's going to pull the bait off, and you're going to. They call it the bait stealers. That they're not really stealing their bait. Your bait, they don't have the power to take the bait off. You're setting the hook while they're holding on to it, and the bait's coming off. So if you just let those little tappers keep tapping on it, your bait's going to last a lot longer. And what's eventually going to happen is a bigger fish is going to come along, and it's going to steal their food, right? And then you feel that thump. That's when you let them have it. And when you get good about distinguishing between the thumps of a good fish and the little taps from the bait stealers, you're going to be catching way more fish and going through way less bait. And that's another reason why we recommend having nice rods. Having a nicer rod is going to help you feel that better. But again, over time, as you're setting the hook on strikes and not getting anything, those are the bait stealers. Those are little small fish. There's once you get it in your muscle memory, it'll be automatic. The little taps, hold steady, and the thump, let them have it. And that was a lesson that took me a lot of years to eventually figure out.
Yep. And then on those 4 species, redfish, speckled trout, snook, flounder, the one who's the least likely to be spooked by a boat or a kayak is a trout, right? I mean, we have countless videos where we just show trolling, both on a kayak and on a boat, where you literally could have your big engine on and be trolling on the corner, on the edge of where a flat meets a channel, and catching trout, just 50, 60 feet behind the boat. Just trolling a Slam Shady 2.0 paddle tail on a 1/4 ounce jig head, that to me, that's just one of the easiest things to do. We do it with kids, do it with spouses sometimes if they don't feel like sitting out there in the heat. Cool. We'll drive around and enjoy the day and get a little bit of a breeze and just have the rods hanging off the side. And it's fun. And when you're moving like that even a 14, 15-inch trout feels like a monster hit because of the movement.
Yeah, and the cool thing about this is a lot of the flow is in the summertime. Again, it's all about dissolve oxygen. Basically, as the water gets hotter and hotter, there's less dissolve oxygen. Fish need dissolve oxygen for energy. So obviously, the less dissolve oxygen, the less energy. So where we want to be fishing are areas with deeper and cooler water with water flow. And so that makes everything so much easier, because now, right, if we want to go to, have the guaranteed catch at bridges, and then we want to try to start experiment with some lures, we don't have to go make a 5-mile run. We literally just go to the closest little shallow bank that touches the main channel. And so this is, again, another smart spot. I've caught countless trout over here. It's literally all year long, and spots like this are going to have trout. Let me go ahead and take this off so we can I can show you some details. This is, again, that smart spots layer that really kind of dumbs it down for you. But for those who are just using satellite maps, look for spots like this. And this is the perfect situation, right? Whether the current's coming in or when it's going out, the water flow is going right up along the edge of this grass flat. And again, same thing as before. We need to have structure. We need to have some current flow. And now we don't necessarily need that deep water. We want to have the transition where it goes from shallow to deep. Shallow meaning 1 or 2 feet down to about 5-6 feet. That's generally where the trout really like to hold, and they love holding in spots like this. We call it camo bottom. When this bottom from the satellite imagery looks kind of like camouflage, that's when you know there's very likely going to be a lot of trout. And again, bonus points if that edge is right up against a channel that's 10 feet or more in depth. We know there's going to be cool water flowing through here. That water is going to be pushing a lot of food, and those predator fish, trout especially, but also there'll be some redfish in spots like this. I've got a lot of snook up here close to the shore. Again, I've seen a lot of big tarpon coming through here. There's just a very it's one of those food highways that we talk about. Whether you're trolling or drift fishing, live bait or lures, it doesn't matter. I personally find it best to use a small jig. So this is the Slam Shady 2.0 on a 1/4 ounce jig head is by far my favorite lure for getting out of a slump. Everything eats it. It can fish anywhere from 2.5 feet of water down to about 6 or 7 feet of water very easily. And again, if there's predators down there, they're almost always going to hit it, and there almost always are going to be predators in spots like this, which means obviously it's not as automatic as live shrimp by a bridge, but this is as close to automatic as possible. Get a small jig like this, Slam Shady 2.0, 3.5-inch paddle tail on a 1/4 ounce jig head, either troll or kind of cast and just bounce or drag close to the bottom. And again, the odds of not catching something are very small. And you can catch some really good fish. A lot of big trout are holding in zones like this. And a lot of bycatch will be Spanish mackerel, every once in a while redfish and snook if there's some land nearby. And again, chances for getting tarpon, cobia, permit, pompano, all sorts of stuff.
Love it. And I love the fact that you said going not just simple with your tackle or your lures, but just go with one. I mean, you've done that multiple times. You did that back in the tournament days where you said, I'm just going to literally take one lure. And meaning you could take a 100-pack if you want, but just only have one option. And that way you are more focused on what's going on around you. You are more focused on finding the 90-10 zone and trying to understand the biology of the fish versus always thinking about having to retie or, be down looking for your next rod. I remember one guy was posting about being in a slump and someone said, hey, like, what are you using? And he's like, oh, well, I started off with top water. And like, well, that's probably mistake number one. If you're in a slump, I wouldn't start with top water. And then I went to this, and he literally named like 14 things. And he's like, even like a fly rod. I'm like, whoa, like timeout. Let's just go back, like you said, to a 3.5 paddle tail. I mean, top water is really fun, but if you're in a slump, I would not start with topwater. Maybe you're different, Luke, but I mean, do you agree with that? Like in terms of just keeping it super simple if you haven't caught a fish in a while?
Yeah, top water is awesome for a very small window. In the summertime, they're like right when it's going from like total darkness to a little bit of light, that 30-minute window, that's the time where topwater can outfish everything else, but it's very rare. It's a very tight window. So yeah, if you're in a slump, yeah, like a paddle tail, a subsurface lure is going to be best. The fish can get it easier, especially redfish, which have a hard time coming up over the lure. So yeah, I would have to agree. But during daylight, especially, and in general, you need. And this is a mistake that we made for many years, and I see it all the time, especially with newer members who haven't yet gone through the fishing school. Is you need to be trying out more spots than lures.
Yes.
So many people, similar thing. Hey, like they got skunked, or only caught like some catfish or whatever, and we'll go to, hey, like tell me what happened. Like, what'd you do? And like, yeah, I went to I fished for 6 hours and I tried these two spots and I went through this lure, boom, 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 boom. We're like, wait a second, 6 hours and two spots and that's the mistake. And so in general, if the spot isn't showing life, if I just want to go out and catch fish, I'll have two setups. And this is getting out of slump setups. Number one, a small bait fish imitation, and then a small shrimp imitation. Every once in a while, the fish are just out in on shrimp, and you need to have that with you. If you're in a spot and you're seeing a lot of wading birds, especially ibises, that's when you pretty much know that the fish are probably feeding on shrimp. That's going to be most common on these summer outflowing tides, like on the big moons, especially in the evening. Going with a shrimp lure, it can be an absolute game changer. But either way, keep it small, 3 to 3.5 inches. Have something rigged for the shallows, and shallows meaning 3 feet or less, and then something for the deeper water, like the outside edges of the channels. The outside edges is going to have the most fish, but if you want to start beefing up your game, especially going after redfish, that's when you need to push up a little bit shallower and have a weighted hook type situation on a jig head. So this lure right here, or sorry, weighted hook on a soft plastic. This setup is my most trusted for skipping up under docks, like shallower docks, as well as shallow mangroves, getting up under the structure in the shade. That's where those fish are going to be holding when that sun's up. When they start getting lethargic, this type of lure is going to get them. Get up in the shade, as tight to the structure as you possibly can get. Take it slow, let it just kind of bounce along the bottom. And even if they're not hungry, right, that DO2 is going to be low. They're not going to be very energetic. Their metabolism is not moving that fast, so they don't really need to eat a ton. This is when you can get those lethargic fish to still eat and have some fun fish catching action.
Yep. And speaking of shrimp, there's nothing wrong with just going back to good old shrimp. We're working on a video right now with some of the top beginner saltwater fishing mistakes, and one of them is that with beginners in particular, that I think beginners see other people and maybe they see salt strong people, or seen some of our ads or videos where we're catching really nice fish on a lure like the prawn or the slam shady, and they're like, oh, I want to do that, and they go right into lures. There are some lures that you can get away with it, like a paddle tail, but some of them, like, and if you have like that prawn and you have it rigged incorrectly and don't really know how to use it and retrieve it, you're probably going to struggle as a beginner. So there's nothing wrong with using shrimp or white bait or whatever it is. But it goes back to what you said earlier, regardless of if you're using lures or bait. If you're newer and or if you're in a slump, you should be fishing way more spots than changing up whatever tackle it is. Even Peter Deeks, who's got multiple world records and is primarily a live bait guy when it comes to his customers. He loves using lures himself. We fished with him countless times, and he moves around quite a bit, even though in general you kind of work a spot a little bit slower using live bait. The second he's looking around, if he's not seeing mullet jumping or any signs of life, he's like, we're out, we're going. The fish are not just going to magically come to your boat just because you have live bait or Dr. Juice saltwater scent or anything. You still got to go find the fish and know where they're going to be. Obviously, we have a tool called Smart Fishing Spots that helps out tremendously, but it's still not perfect. Nothing is, right? It's fishing. You still have to use your eyes and just kind of have some common trends and biology of fish in your head as you're going out there. I think that's another mistake is people look at things like smart fishing spots. That example you said was perfect, Luke, because I've seen it like, yeah, well, I had 2 to 3 spots, so I fished there the whole day. Well, man, great places to start, but hey, move around. If you're literally not seeing any action there, maybe you spooked a fish. Don't sit there and wait the entire day for them to come back. Start moving around until you see some stuff. What else are we missing for getting out of an old slump?
Yeah, I mean the biggest part is moving because again there could have been a pot of dolphin gone through and just wrecked house right before you got there, and the fish are just going to be spooked for an hour plus, and you don't want to be sitting in that dead zone for an hour. Don't waste your time out there. Get out and use when you go. This is what I recommend too for everybody. Have at least 6 spots that you plan on going to, even for a short trip. If you're going for like a 6-hour trip, even a lot longer. I usually fish for 2-3 hours at a time. I always have 6 spots I can go to. Some that I've been like even fishing, zones that I fish all the time. I still make sure to have at least some of those spots be new spots I've never fished before. That's also very important. We made that mistake for many years.
Mm-hmm.
Literally for 5+ years of saltwater fishing, we had 5 spots. That was it because we never went out of our comfort zone. We never moved around. And come to find out now, like all of our spots that are now our best aren't those first 5. Like had we kept fishing those, we'd have never grown. Like I still have no personal best in those spots that we spent so much time on. They were okay. Like we caught some fish, but yeah, if you don't go and explore around, first of all, exploring is fun, and secondly, there's often going to be a lot better spots that you don't yet know about, and if you don't look around, you're never going to find them.
Yep. And you showed like a cool tool. Those 1-foot contour lines are great. The 3D underwater, the shaded relief is really cool. The oyster bar layer. There's so much you can do with things like smart fishing spots to find really, really neat new spots in your area, not just the old ones. And obviously, we're adding spots to smart fishing spots as well. I think it's just a fantastic tool. We're trying to provide everything an inshore saltwater angler would ever need to succeed. All in one place. And so I use it. I know we've even got a lot more full-time guides who are using it for all their pre-trip planning. And, because we've got weather, wind, radar, everything, even now water temperature. Those water temp breaks are really, really cool. Even in some bays, that's a really neat feature. So anything else, Lukey?
Yeah, let me, for those who are sticking around, let me show one more tip. I know we have a lot of members in areas with murky water. And this is the power of really today's technology, where you can get some incredibly helpful intel from the convenience of your own home, so that you can maximize your time in the water. You don't really want to be like totally going blind to spots while you're on the water, right? Maximize your time out there. This zone is highlighted in smart spots. Let me go ahead and take that off. And for people new to that, you can actually see an AI game plan where the system, based on when you're fishing, right? Whatever day or time you're fishing, you can choose all the details. It'll actually give you a game plan for that spot based on the tides at that point and the weather and just the overall trends. So really, really helpful intel. But again, for now, we're going to cover for everybody. So we have the 1-foot contour, and the key for summer, as I mentioned before, we want to find the deepest structure possible. And that's gonna optimize your time on the water. And the cool thing about 1-foot contour is we can zoom in to dock lines. I know we've talked about bridges before, but docks are also extremely good. Same thing, right? The pilings are structure in themselves. A lot of times there's debris during construction that's on the bottom. And the cool thing about 1-foot contour lines is we can go down these dock lines or down these shorelines with docks, and we can see again, it's not perfect, but it's a very good estimate. We can see the depths at the ends of the docks. So this one gets down to about 8 feet of water. This one's 7. This one, check this out, down to 12. So all else being equal, this dock is going to have the most fish, and so we automatically know that. So this is going to be the spot that you want to go to first, right? Check this one out. If they're not here, then odds are they're probably not the others, and you can go move and go to a hole.
And the irony is that one that's sticking out the farthest is only at 4.5 feet deep.
So there's a sandbar right there. Spot. So this one's cool. This one looks cool, but in actuality, the middle section is probably going to be the best. It looks like it dips down there for a bit. So yeah, so use technology, right? When you can, spend your time doing your scouting, if you will. Check this out, down to 16 feet of water. Do your scouting from home whenever possible, so that every second that you're on the water, you can maximize your time there. And this feature is really, it's for the entire coastline. We have it. We have members all throughout Texas, up north of Virginia, and this 1 foot contour is there. And then once it gets shallow, and this is really for the fall and spring, it even has 1/2 foot contours. So really, this has become by far my favorite tool for when these fish start getting lethargic. When I need to find both summer and winter, when I need to find that deep structure, that 1 foot contour layer is absolutely amazing.
Yep. And in there too, I want to make a point, because I was talking to someone recently, they didn't realize we had it. When, let's just say you were on that example there and you saw those docks, you can go to tools and then waypoints and create a new waypoint and drop it anywhere you want. It tells you the exact GPS spot. You can go name it. It's unlimited. Like, we have some members with 1,000 of these things, and you can export it to your fish finder. You can just keep it there on your phone. There's so much you can do with it. And we have that underwater shade relief. Same deal. Just a little bit further out there in that St. Johns River where you were, it's got that 4K. You can see all kinds of crazy stuff. And I'd be dropping pins everywhere as waypoints, and it gives you the exact GPS spot of where you drop it. Really, really cool. So I just wanted to share that. So that's it, guys. That is how we would get out of a slump. Go back to the basics. Keep it super, super simple, and move around a lot. Those are really some of the biggest mistakes that most people make, regardless of the skill level. There's nothing wrong with going back to the foundationals, if you will, and just getting that confidence back. There's something about fishing, right? Maybe going back to that confidence lure as well. It's one of the few sports where we have a lot to choose from, right? Like baseball, you got to use the same baseball for the most part. You use the same bat, same glove. But I mean, we have so many options on how we're going to go out there and attack, meaning going fishing. But man, so often we catch some of our best fish with that confidence lure. We catch the most fish with a confidence lure or bait. If you're into bait, go back to that. There is nothing wrong with it.
And again, best by summertime, early morning, that's when you can actually move fast. But once that sun's up, especially when it's hot, call it low and slow. That's when you need to get your baits or lures on the bottom, slow it down, and ideally find some shaded structure with current flow. And if you can find that, the odds of there not being fish there are very small. And if you get something that's at least somewhat appetizing and get it slow right in their face, they really can't help but to eat it. So again, that's something I wish I would have known sooner. A lot of sunburns out there without catching anything, because I was fishing in the middle of the day as if it was the early morning, and I didn't catch anything.
Yep. So we know how you feel, and we have a plan. It's real simple. You come join us in the Insider Club. You download the Smart Fishing Spots app. You go into the community and watch the latest and greatest smart fishing game plan. You'll also see the game plans in the app. And if you need a whole lot more help, like the fishing school, no brainer, go watch that as well. But in terms of just getting started, it's just a couple steps. You join the club, you download the app, you get in the community and watch the latest game plan for your area, and you go out and fish. And then you rinse and repeat. If you do have issues, you ask in the community. We got coaches. We have videos on everything you could possibly imagine. And then when you need the equipment or need to upgrade your equipment, we have discounts on all that stuff as well. So our big promise is we help you catch more fish and save money on your tackle, or you don't pay. It's that simple. So come join us and the 60,000 others in the private Insider Club. You will not regret it. For your current members, thank you guys so much. We pinch ourselves that we get to do this for a living with such awesome people, and we love seeing the testimonials in the private community. We are, giving away thousands of dollars every month in prizes just for you guys being active in there and just trying to make this fun. It's everything that we wish was around when we were making that transition from bass fishermen to inshore saltwater anglers. And so we're constantly adding more and more stuff as we hear from you. So please let us know how we can help you guys in any way. We appreciate it big time. Luke? We out. Go to saltshore.com to join if you're not a member. Otherwise, go to saltshore.com and you'll be logged in the community as a member. Make sure to keep posted in there every time you have any questions or awesome fishing reports. We appreciate you guys. Talk to you on the next episode.